Hey guys, college football week 8. Notre Dame had a bye this past week, so obviously we're not going to start with that. We'll just kind of jump right into some of the games, and I'll give you my thoughts from this past weekend. So, the biggest upset that happened, Wisconsin losing to Illinois. Classic look ahead game. This happens in college football all the time. And that's why I always think it's very funny. At this point in the season, you've got all these people saying, well, there's going to be, four undefeated teams. Leading, four of the major teams are all going to be undefeated leading into the end of the season. I highly doubt it. Normally there's one, maybe two, but I highly doubt, that there's going to be all four would be undefeated. And when I mean that, I mean, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, all those teams, the ones that are in the mix right now, LSU, all the ones that are in the mix. It's just not going to happen. I mean, obviously LSU and Alabama play each other, so there goes one of them. They're not going to be undefeated. Alabama also has to play in the SEC championship game against whoever, or if they beat LSU, or LSU has to do the same. So it's just difficult to go undefeated. It's a very difficult thing to do. I could see Clemson doing it because obviously everybody talks about their schedule. I don't think it's very difficult, so that's entirely possible. But a lot of the other ones, Oklahoma, I mean, they play Iowa State this next weekend. I think that's going to be challenging for them. But let's get back. We're on a little tangent there. Let's get back to the Illinois-Wisconsin game. So, should Wisconsin have lost to Illinois? Of course not. I have absolutely no idea why Illinois hangs on to Lovie Smith. I get it. They just won that game. They're 3-4. They lost to Eastern Michigan, who's one of my pet teams. I love Eastern Michigan. But lost to Eastern Michigan at home. This is the signature win for Lovie Smith, and I get that, and it is a great win. But what's he going to do with it? Probably nothing. Probably nothing. I highly doubt Illinois is even going to get to 6 wins. It's possible. I just don't really see it. Sometimes these wins will catapult you and get you to where you need to be, but it's not on the same scale. But you look at a team like UNLV beating Vandy last week, and UNLV as a program would look at that as a signature win because it's an SEC team. I get it's Vandy, I understand, but it's still UNLV. They come out this past weekend and get destroyed by Fresno State. That's usually what happens, and I'm pretty certain that's going to happen with Illinois. I think they're probably going to get to maybe 5 wins. I just don't see bowl eligibility, but great win for them. Look, I have a soft spot for them anyway. I love Memorial Stadium. I love Zupke Field. Just a big fan. I've always loved, seriously, I did a little bit of a soft spot for Illinois. So really good win for them, but Wisconsin can figure it out this weekend. They play Ohio State. If they can win that game, I don't think they can, but if they can win that game and then just continue to keep it rolling, they'll be, I'm not going to say right back in the mix, but they can get themselves at least in the conversation. But just a really bad loss, just a terrible loss. And I have absolutely no idea what they were doing at the end of the game, with their clock management. Why would you pass the ball in 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, whatever it was? Why would you do that with 2.5 minutes? It makes no sense. Anyway, they deserve to lose. South Carolina loses to Florida 38-27. I'll tell you, there's 2 things here. First of all, I think South Carolina played incredibly well, coming off a really emotional game and an emotional win against Georgia. So I think it's great that they came out there and played really well. I will say there's a lot of talk about the refs and everything else, and I agree. There were a lot of egregious calls, and I do think that was a hold, by the way, in the DB coming down to try to make the tackle on Florida running back. I don't know why everybody says it's not. I think it's ridiculous that you would say it's not a hold. He's holding his jersey like this, going down the field. That's a hold. So I don't want to hear anything about it. What I will say is that it's great to see Muschamp have the ability to get the guys ready to go for the next week. I think that's really important for him for the rest of this year. He's got to get to a bowl. Muschamp has to get to a bowl. And, it's interesting because, I listen to a lot of these college radio talk shows and a lot of folks call in and say, got to get rid of Muschamp. He's not getting it done for Carolina. Again, who are you going to hire? I think he's doing a pretty good job. Again, I talked about this at the beginning of the year. The record is not going to indicate how good of a job he's going to do. Does it really, with this schedule? Keep in mind, with this schedule, does it matter if you go 6-6 or 7-5? Does that really matter? Because how did you think you were going to do? If you're a South Carolina fan, how did you think you were going to do with this schedule? 7 wins. Okay, so maybe you get to 6. You got Tennessee next. You got Vandy after that. If you can win the App State game, which you should, I get App State is good, but it's at home, and you're an SEC team. So if you can win those games, you'd be 6-4, leading into Texas A&M, and then you play Clemson. So that's a hell of a good year. You could be 7-5. I think that's great with their schedule. That Georgia win set them up to be okay the rest of the way. So we'll see. UCLA beats Stanford 34-16. A lot of people have, reached out to me and said, "Oh, you're an idiot. You said UCLA would never win a game, for the rest of the year." Okay, so they're going to win 3 games. Then who cares? I mean, they're 2-5. What are they going to be, 4-8? So I'm an idiot because they're 4-8. I mean, this is Chip Kelly. He's making $6 to $7 million a year, whatever he makes, 5, 6, 7, whatever it doesn't. I can't even keep up with these coaching salaries. The reality is, he's making a ton of money. For them to win 4 games a year, they're not making progress. That's what I'm saying. I mean, look, again, I'll go back to South Carolina. That's a team that's making progress. I even said Rice is making progress, and I continue to say that, by the way. I don't care that Rice is 0-7. Nobody cares anyway. Rice is 0-7. I get it, but they're making progress. They're playing hard every game. Kansas is making progress. Kansas is playing hard every week. You see these teams. You see what they're doing. I do not see UCLA making progress. Again, you can say they are, and that's fine, and you can say this is the win that's going to get them to it. Fine, they're going to win 4 games. I'm an idiot because they're going to win 4 games. It's Chip Kelly. He should at least have had them to bowl eligibility this year, at least in my mind. He's got enough talent. Jim Mora did not leave that cupboard completely bare. I'm tired of the excuses. Chip Kelly, it's over. It is over. Because what's he going to do? If he goes 4-8 this year, he's going to go 6-6, and then what? Do you really think they're going to jump to 10-2, 11-1? I don't think so. I highly doubt it, especially when Southern Cal gets rid of Hilton and they start getting good again. It's over. So, no, I'm tired of it. Whatever. I'm telling you, I still hold to the fact that they're not going to win a ton of games. I mean, they're 2-5 now, so fine. They win 4 games. Okay, whatever. Iowa State won this past weekend. They're 5-2. They're going to play Oklahoma next. Now that's an interesting game because Iowa State has finally started to get it together a little bit. This is going to be Oklahoma's toughest test. I get it. You can say Texas. We saw Texas almost lose to Kansas. I'm not a believer in Texas at all. I'm a believer in Iowa State because I'm a believer in Campbell. Now it's at Oklahoma, really challenging for Iowa State, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen here because I'm. You guys know this. There are certain coaches that I love. Matt Campbell's one of them, the Iowa State head coach. Really going to be interesting to see if they can make any noise with that. Missouri somehow loses to Vandy, 21-14. Again, this is classic college football. This is why we watch college football. Okay, we watch it to see Kansas almost beat Texas. It's exciting. It's not exciting when you're the other team or it's your team that's about to lose. I mean, that sucks, but for everybody else, it's fantastic. I mean, Missouri losing to Vandy? I mean, how does it even happen? Seriously, how does it... Come on, Missouri. I mean, you were ranked, for God's sake. You were making really good strides here. I mean, just awful. That's not a good loss. So, anyway, really interesting games this weekend. Obviously, Notre Dame plays Michigan. I already talked about the Oklahoma-Iowa State game. All kinds of games that are happening. Can't wait to see all of them. So, hope you guys enjoy them, and I'll talk to you next week.